So, for my project, I created a dungeon using Bethesda's creation kit. The reason I did this project was because I felt like I really wanted to do something with Bethesda's games. And they normally throughout their whole series they release this thing called the GECK or the creation kit. The creation kit is for the game that I was using. It's called Skyrim. Um, okay. Before I began this project, I knew nothing about it. I just knew that I always wanted to do something like this for like life. But after doing this project, I can say that I'm not going to do this for a job because even though I did enjoy doing it, I just I couldn't see myself sitting at a desk 5 to 6, no, 6 to 9 hours a day doing this. I didn't appeal to me. But setting that aside, what I accomplished throughout this whole thing was I learned how to use the creation kit. That includes lighting, NPC pathing, nav mesh, NPC nav mesh, which allows the NPCs to walk around the dungeon without getting caught on objects like this desk, say. Um, and I learned about how to lay out a dungeon and how to optimize it so when the player goes to load into the dungeon, everything doesn't get loaded at once. It's in little chunks. Okay, what really motivated me at first was I actually had a really big interest for doing something like this for a job, but as I began to go down the project, the date became later and later. I just realized I'm not really enjoying this that much anymore, and it got to the point where I just didn't want to work on this at all. And what really made me come back to this was come back to really working hard on it and making sure to get everything done was I knew that it was a project and I had to get it done. But also, I wanted to create my first engine, and that was the big one. The big one that made me really, really come back and get it all done. All right, my successes throughout this was obviously creating a dungeon, learning how to use the creation kit from Bethesda, and all about nav meshing, lighting, NPC pathing, room detail, stuff like that, and optimization. Challenges, once again, what I just stated, lack of motivation, and learning how and what not to nav mesh was a pain because this laptop, that is my mom's, is awful. It's just, like it every time I would nav mesh, I would the whole creation kit itself would crash or just get massive amounts of lag. Um, and that's really the only challenges that I had throughout this, which I'm pretty happy because I picked this thing up really quickly and learned how to utilize it very, very quickly. Um, the resources that I used to create this project was my mom's laptop. Thank you, Mom. And my Logitech G930s, which is my headset that I'm currently using right now. This program called OBS, which is this, looks a little funky, and Steam, which is this, and these are the two games, or well, the two. This is the game that Bethesda's made. That this is the creation kit, and this allows you a player or any random person in the whole world to create mods for this game. And Steam is just where I was able to download and purchase the game. And this website called video.onlineconverter.com because the file structure that OBS uses is an FLV, and you can't use that with Windows Movie Maker. You have to make it to an MP4, and that just converts it for me, so I don't have to worry about that. And yeah, the skills and knowledge I acquired during this project was obviously learning how to use a creation kit, which is a big one. Learning how lighting can drastically affect a game. This is what the um, lighting would look like in game. I wanted to make it sort of dark and gritty, which I think I did a fantastic job of doing because everything looks dark and gritty. And I wanted to make it like that because I felt like this place is a lost city. And cities don't have lights in them that are underground. And this reflects that. And some other skills are time management. Because at first, I was just rushing through this whole thing, just plopping everything down, and I realized it looked like crap. Which you can see by my first room. This is the first room I made. It's packed full of needless amounts of stuff. It just doesn't make sense for what I was doing. But yeah. As I went through, the rooms became a little bit more intricate. Like actually not the same thing copied and pasted. Uh, um, I also learned nav mesh. Nav meshing is hopefully this doesn't crash, but it looks like this, and what this is showing is what the NPCs can, which are these two things, where they can walk and what they cannot walk through, which is this. It's like the solid stuff, which makes it so the game doesn't look awkward. So you don't have NPCs just walking through this. And NPC pathing, it looks a little something like this. Like these, oh, hold on. These are little checkpoints where the NPC will either walk to, either just stand there idly, interact with what's around them. Like this guy will just kind of walk around the room, maybe occasionally sit down. He'll walk to this point here. He'll go through the door and then walk down here, and then he'll loop the whole thing again. Yeah. So I showed this to both my parents. They thought it was really neat. My dad was a little bit more excited because he really wants me to do something with computers, and I do too. But it's just it's not gonna be this. They said it looks neat, but it seems a little bland. And after looking through the whole thing again, I realize it's pretty bland. It's basically the same walls, same room, same color, just copied and pasted all over everywhere, which it really is, except for down here, where you get into a cave a little bit. I also showed this to my friend Max Rylander, another student in class. He told me it was meh. That hurt more than what my parents said. But once again, he's right. It's it's decent, but it's not the best. But to me, it's my first project or my first dungeon, and it's obviously the best. After completing this whole project, after it's all said and done, I I can't say I found most of it to be enjoyable, but after seeing it all completed and done, I love it. Like, I wouldn't, I mean, I love it, but I wouldn't do it again because it's just a lot of work and really tedious. But maybe once in a while, I'll do it for a hobby. But now that that's all said and done, I will show you a little tour. So this is where the player would walk in and enter from. The player would then encounter an end hallway. And then he would come into a room, he or she, my bad, and then he would encounter his first encounter with NPCs. They would see him, they're bandits, so they would obviously run in and attack him. At that point, this person is probably about done maybe half of his route, and they would either hear the fighting going on and they would come in and help, or they would just keep with their routes. And then the player would, after finishing up in there, would come in here, which is the bandit's bedroom. This is their kitchen, sort of. And they would deal with whatever this guy is doing. And then the player would come down here in this hallway, and then this is where the hallway splits off into two little sections. This one is the best part of the dungeon, the loot room. This is where the player would get a bunch of goodies like armor, weapons, potions, things like that. And then if the player goes down here, they'll encounter a caved-in room, which was kind of the funnest part of this whole dungeon, not gonna lie. Because I always find when I play games like this, when I see caved in, it's stuff caved in when I'm exploring ruins, I think that's the coolest thing. I like dungeon diving. But anyways, before the player got to here, he would encounter these two bandits, and he would deal with them. And then the player, after exploring here, he'd see that there's a cave here. I wonder what's in the cave? Nothing, because I didn't have enough time to add that. Except I put down like 2 little ore patches so the player can mine. But yeah, that's my that's my dungeon. And now that this is all said and done, I would recommend future students to do something that they would enjoy doing. Like, I was really only able to do this because it was a project. If it wasn't a project, it probably wouldn't get done. I would probably get to like the first room or 2 maybe done on my own, but nonetheless, do something that you would find yourself doing in your spare time or as a job. It will make your project that much better. It'll make it a lot easier for you to do. It'll make it so it looks a lot better. Hopefully, what you're doing. But I cannot stress that enough. Alright, well, I hope you I hope you enjoyed my video, and have a nice day.